So we're gonna start with our microphone. So Sara Jessica, my name is welcome to Moscow.
Thank you. Спасибо.
We're very happy to see you here and to have you as our guest. Especially to talk to you about the release of the movie I don't know how to pass it. And I wanted to ask you, we don't know how you do this. It's so easy, so beautiful, and so beautiful and charming. Tell us, is the movie, how you reflected your personal experience in your life into this movie? How is the movie connected to the real life of the real beautiful woman we see?
Well, first of all, thank you to you and your colleagues at Top Films for inviting us here and for your very gracious hospitality. And we want to start by saying that I've wanted to visit Moscow and Russia for a long, long time, and it's been an amazing visit. It's been too short. I could spend weeks and weeks here happily. So it's been a thrill to be here, and I thank everybody for coming today. The movie, I don't know how she does it, is based on the very successful novel by Alison Pearson, which she's a British writer, so the novel debuted and was published originally in the UK. It was a great success there, and then came to the States. I'm assuming that it's been printed in Russia. Translated in Russia. Anyway, so the character was well established, a wonderful, challenging character to play, but it is true that there are things about the role of Kate Reddy that are very familiar. I mean, we're both mothers in a contemporary urban environment. We're both working outside the home, and there, of course, are complications.
My name is Olga from Russian Business Channel. Just can you say some words about Moscow? Some places you were with all your wanting to visit? Maybe there are some special places you want to visit.
Sure. Well, we only arrived late Saturday night, right? Today Monday? Today is Monday, correct? Yes. So we arrived late Saturday night. We encouraged the driver to take the scenic route. And saw a lot of some of your most historical landmarks. And seeing them at night was really, really beautiful. And yesterday morning we woke up early enough to visit the Kremlin and the beautiful churches, within the walls of the Kremlin. We went to the museum that houses the Fabergé eggs and the coronation dresses. And perhaps the most exciting part of yesterday in some ways was going and standing outside the Bolshoi Theater. It's been a dream of mine. I was a ballet dancer as a young girl. I'm still an enormous fan of the ballet. I'm fully cognizant of the enormous contributions the Russians have made to ballet, and specifically modern classical ballet. I'm sit on the board of the New York City Ballet, home of the company that Balanchine created. So to stand at the Bolshoi Theater, first of all, its presence in person is so magnificent and it's so beautiful. But then, and I don't even know if I should say this, but then I hung around, and I know it's under renovation and closed, but we did get inside. And it's really magnificent inside. It's one of the most beautiful, kind of amazing things. Surprised it's not considered one of the 7 wonders of the world. So that was, in many ways, the highlight. It's just also meeting everybody and eating the food, and today I'm going to try to stop in and look at a subway because I want to see the subways here. And there's so much I would love to see St. Petersburg and Kiev and really travel all over this part of the territory, but sadly time doesn't allow. But I'll be back. Okay.
Yes, so now you no problem with your English.
Okay.
Also, so
Very bad. I just hold it.
yeah, if anyone have any questions, yeah, please.
So there's a whole and program everything is in the Russian community, and the people there love Russia, and especially you love Russian. What do you speak from mostly, and did you try real Russian program?
Vodka? And you said you heard I love Russian food?
Yes, I know there you love Russian, and Russian food. What do you prefer mostly? And
I love a lot of things about Russia. Like I said just a moment ago, I think part of what is so compelling probably is my early years as a ballet dancer, just being drawn to all things Russian. I love Russian food. I always have, any sort of version that I've had in the States, some more authentic than others. My husband and I recently this summer went to what is considered a fairly authentic Russian restaurant in New York. And we've had some great Russian food here. Great. We've had so many. And we've had caviar, and we've had stroganoff, and we've had a lot of beef and dill and potatoes and borscht and salmon and sturgeon, sable, what else? Chicken, the chicken salad, the sort of traditional chicken, the eggs, everything. Chicken soup. What did we have for, let's see, we had so much food last night. It was really overly indulgent. Gosh, what else did we eat last night? Everything. We ate everything they put in front of us happily. It was really, I felt like one of those, we indulged. Vodka, I've never been a big drinker, so I'm ashamed to tell you I've not had any vodka here. Every time it's been offered, the timing was bad. You wouldn't want me to try vodka for the first time right before a press conference. Right? But the food has been wonderful, wonderful. Loved it. And the stroganoff last night, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Great, so here's the next one.
Thank you. Fascinating question. Excellent. The luggage. One doesn't travel as far as Moscow and wear the clothes that I wear to pick up my children at school. I really cared very much about how I presented myself. I've never been here. I want to be from here forever. I understand that Sex and the City has a wonderful group of women that follow the show and the movies, and Top Films that has extended themselves, and so to wear jeans and a t-shirt didn't really seem appropriate for this very special occasion. There is a significant amount of luggage, but we're traveling on and on, We don't just come from Moscow. We go on and on and on, and there's a lot of press over the next 6-7 days. So that requires some suitcases. There is a relatively small group of people traveling with me compared to what I see traditionally. And it's a group of people that I've traveled with forever. It's my other family. So we very much wanted to be here together as a group of people, not just to do hair and makeup, but really to experience this extraordinary country. So that's why we're all here as a group. And that's one of the most memorable things about this trip is being here with people that I love, that I wanted to share this experience with. So, and in terms of high heels, the beauty is that you can choose to wear them or not. I arrived here in sneakers, with a nice dress, but you become accustomed to the potential danger involved in wearing a heel. And I guess I've just been asked to do it for so many years and just used to it. Nothing, all rumors. No seventh season, no Sex and the City 3, I haven't had those conversations. If those conversations are being had, it's without my knowledge, which would be surprising. And no, so not at this time. And your second question was,
Did you like shoes?
oh, yes. I appreciate shoes. I love wearing them and borrowing them, but I'm not as committed, let's put it that way, as Carrie Bradshaw. But that's, one of the great things about playing a role like that is you sort of live this parallel life, this fantasy, and you get it out of your system, Thank you, nice to meet you. Hi, Sara. Hello. It's not about being tired at all. It's meaning of that experience. It was an amazing, unthinkably extraordinary time in my life, and every time you revisit it, it's been really special and very memorable. It's important, however, to do other things and challenge yourself and work with new people, and I think you also have to have a sense of timing and what is the right time to do something and what is not. And I think without even having had a conversation about Sex and the City 3 with Michael Patrick, it's just, I think we know intuitively that this is not the right time for that. But it's not at all about being weary of the association or the part. I've loved it. I love her. I'm very proud of the association, and maybe one day we'll revisit it, but not at this time. Series or movie or prequel with Blake Lively, no. Nor any of the actresses mentioned. I don't know her work very well, but she seems lovely, and I'm sure she would be wonderful in the role. It's not as if I'm out pursuing new Carrie Bradshaws, but the world is the way it is, and if someone should come along that everybody felt good about, I'm sure I would be gracious and generous and hand over the torch, as we say. But there's no truth to those rumors. Thank you for your kind words. I guess the most challenging thing about working on I Don't Know How She Does It was just there were things about the part that were wonderfully challenging. She has this sort of unexpected journey in the movie. She takes on an enormous amount of responsibility, and at the same time, her husband is having big things happen in his career, and the burden of the family seems to be lying on her shoulders, and it becomes a unexpectedly complicated time in her life, and to sort of convey that and express that as well as I thought the script did was a great challenge. But it was wonderful, and I love so much the director, Doug McGrath. I love the movies he's made in the past, and Harvey Weinstein produced it in the States, and he has a great producer with him, Don Gelati, and I really love working for them, and to be part of a movie with Greg Kinnear and Pierce Brosnan was a thorough delight. And so while it was a nice challenging role, it was a great experience. Just in the ways that I've been mentioning this morning, she's a working mother, and she has 2 children, but I have 3. But she is familiar in just in the ways that I've been articulating, just the complications of a busy life, the desire to be all things to all people, and to be very well thought of professionally, and more importantly, be very well thought of and by her family, and just the trials of modern motherhood are familiar to me, definitely. It's not that Kate Reddy is closer to me, it's that the choices she has made are more familiar. You know, Carrie Bradshaw was an infamously famous single woman for most of her adult life. I was not. I didn't have a very colorful dating life. Anything even remotely as colorful as Carrie Bradshaw. And Kate Reddy finds herself having made slightly more traditional choices, as have I in my life. So there are life choices that are familiar to me. It's not that she's closer to me. It'd be hard to imagine any part being closer to me than Carrie Bradshaw emotionally, but our lives have been different. That's the beauty of, you know, playing a role like Carrie Bradshaw for so long. But, you know, there's a lot about Kate Reddy that's not familiar. I don't know how she does it. Actually takes place in Boston, not in New York City. So it's really not a movie about New York at all, nor is in New York, you know, she makes a couple of quick visits to New York for business purposes, but the backdrop of the city is not a part of the story. It's really the story of more an internal landscape. And in terms of how New York has changed over the past 10 years, I mean, in every way that's very obvious and probably been well covered in Russia, you know, we had rather catastrophic event happen in our city 10 years ago. It changed so much about who we are. It changed our city, obviously, politically, and our city has changed a lot. We've had, you know, a turnover in mayors. We've had, on a national level, we've had a change in our president. So that changes the political landscape and the environment. We've had huge economic changes in our city, and of course the center of finance in our country is Wall Street. So there's been every change possible, culturally, politically, socially, financially. And it, you know, as a result, it changes who you are and how you look at things. But I think at the end of the day, we're all New Yorkers, and we have, there's part of us that will never change, you know. We're entrenched in our city that we love, and no matter what happens, I don't think any of us are going anywhere. Pleasure. Did I desert them? No. Your name is Irene also? Irina. No, I know you're not a partner. What words is my mouth? I'm married. I have a husband who's very, very capable of making certain that everybody is safe. Of course, I made every precaution before I left. I was assured of where my family was safe. It was not in any of the zones that were in danger or to be evacuated. There was nothing that hit our house or came near our home where my daughters or son or husband are. So, and I was, of course, in constant communication the entire time. And to suggest that I deserted them in any way would be a slightly outrageous thing to say if it were even remotely true. But the fact that it's not is just silly. No, I wouldn't be here if there was any sense that they were in any kind of danger at all. Thank you. I don't know enough about Russian cinema. I'm ashamed to admit, but there'd be no point in me pretending. I don't know a great deal about Russian cinema. I'm sure there are countless numbers of Russian directors, writers, and actors who I would be very, very privileged to work with. In terms of a role in a Russian story, do you mean, or just in any story in general? I don't know. I've never been somebody that pondered what specifically I wanted to do in terms of the role. I tend to respond to scripts and story rather than some specific idea of a part. But next time I come to Russia, I'll be more versed in Russian cinema, I promise you. I'm not that versed in American cinema either, to be honest. As a mother of three, I don't get to see a lot of movies unless they involve small animated animals.
So just
Oh.
some person from the family or
Oh
no.
my goodness,
Or maybe which one is your...
I don't know that there's any roles that I, am right for or deserving or worthy of, but oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I love Russian literature, and I mean, oh my goodness, well, all the obvious, the usual suspects, Carmen Punishment and Anna Karenina, and all the Russian literature that as a 9th, 10th, and 11th grader you're supposed to read, and what you discover is that it's not a chore, it's actually such a treat. Yesterday we drove past this beautiful monument, this beautiful statue of Dostoevsky. I asked the driver, because he was going so fast, if we could stop by it today and go back. Well, you were in the car. If we could go back today and take a picture. And then, like 40 seconds later, we were passing a statue of Tchaikovsky. It was, and then people from Russia are like, "What do you love so much about Moscow?" I'm like, "What do you mean? You guys just don't see it anymore." It's just amazing. I think I understand the question, but I'm not entirely convinced I do. Can you ask her to maybe sum up the end again, what the theme of the question? I don't want to answer it incorrectly. Do you mind? Thank you. I just want to make sure. Is the question that she...
Я имею в виду, не хотите ли вы выступить в совершенно неожиданном для вас амплуа? Может быть, какой-то играть в боевики, или может быть, играть в фэнтези. То есть у вас выстраивается карьера очень правильно, вся в одном направлении немножко. Может быть, у вас есть желание внутреннее что-то изменить и все будет иметь.
Got it. You try to make the best choices you can based on the opportunities that are presented to you. So I try to be smart and thoughtful. Kate Reddy is different than any role I've ever played. I've never played a mother on the screen, really. So this is a very, very different role, certainly than Carrie Bradshaw, who is, like I said, an internally sort of more, one could almost call her a narcissist, who's thought really about themselves. So this to me was a very different role than anything I've ever played. You can look at State in Maine and think, well, that's rather different, or you can look at Smart People, very different. I played a medical person who's working in charge of the emergency room at a large hospital in Pittsburgh. I wouldn't call her anything remotely like Carrie Bradshaw. You continue to make the best choices you can. Family Stone, very uptight woman who works in finance. These are all been very different for me. Maybe they haven't appeared as different to you. But like I said, you just make the best choices you can given the opportunities that are presented. And that's what I have always tried to do and what I hope to continue to do. I'm always looking for something that's challenging and new and interesting to me, and that's kind of always the way I've made choices in my career. Yesterday, right? Yesterday?
Okay.
Language. No, we didn't. I don't know. Thank you. Don't trip. Thank you.